This question is usually answered by experts and fans who love Silent Hill. I would love to answer it without being any of those things. I've never played a single Silent Hill game. I saw bits and pieces of the movie. I really don't know much about the series. All I know is that there's something about a dog and that there's this big scary dude with a pyramid on his head whose name is kind of escaping me right now. That's literally all I know, so I have no nostalgia or sentimental feelings attached to this franchise. I'm coming at it completely blind, so join me as I answer the question, is Silent Hill a must-play? So as you can tell, I'm a bit under the weather, but maybe this voice makes this video better, so drop a like for my scary, sexy voice. Let's get into it. Released in 1999 by Konami, in this survival horror game, you play as Henry Mason, who is searching for his daughter Cheryl, who seemed to have wandered off into the fog of the town of Silent Hill. I'm dying. As he searches for her, he finds clues that not only uncover where Cheryl could be, but also starts to slowly unravel plans of this cult to revive a deity. So you will be encounter strange characters that, other than this cop Sybil, don't really seem right. There's something funky about all of them, from this doctor to this scary church lady to this hot nurse. There's always a layer of mystery lying just above every encounter. Most of the time when you finish an encounter, it leaves you with more questions than it answered. A big question I had is, why is there so many guns at the school? Well, never mind, I ain't touching that one. The game doesn't tell you shit. It really just lies on the clues you find for you to proceed, and really throws normal video game conventions out the window. Take the start of the game, for example. You're looking for Cheryl, so you go to this back alley, and the whole environment changes. It gets all rusty, dark, and dingy, and then nightmarish creatures appear. 30 years of video games tell me, kill the motherfucker. So you try and fail and get taken down, and you're like, damn, this game's hard. But it's not game over. Instead, you wake up in a diner where you first meet Sybil. So from the jump, this game is trying to change the way you think, hinting at you to have a different perspective and approach things differently. What you think the answer is probably wrong. The answer is rarely the obvious one, so to solve the problem, it forces you to really think out of the box. And there's no greater example than the damn piano puzzle. After reading a poem, you must play the correct keys on the piano. Now, not all the keys on the piano work, so your brain thinks, okay, it has to be the combination of the keys that do work. So when that doesn't work, then you start to stare at it and think, okay, maybe the blood has something to do with it. But no, it's the keys that are weirdly described in the poem, regardless if they work or not. Yeah, the solution seems simple enough now, but in the moment, you're just driving yourself crazy trying to figure this one out. Silent Hill was released by Konami as an answer to Resident Evil, released 3 years before, so on the surface I can see why people can say it's a copy of Resident Evil, and it kind of does in a lot of ways. The way you interact with items, how they look when you pick them up, the option of picking them up, how the health looks, and also the shooting. But even though Silent Hill was a direct competitor to Resident Evil, it still managed to separate itself with the psychological horror rather than the actiony jump scares of Resident Evil. Now you can love both and appreciate both, you don't have to pick one over the other. I just felt the need to point this out because going in, I kinda disrespected the franchise thinking it was a cheap Resi clone. I'm sorry. It's not until you actually play the game that you realize it's not. It's way more than that, and it even managed to build its own legendary franchise. One thing it does share with Resident Evil are the tank controls. Now, I absolutely hate tank controls. It's my fault. Me brain too stupido. I just can't do it. This was the main reason I had never played this game before, but the FOMO kept pushing me forward to pull through. I just struggle with the tank controls. It's like trying to rub your belly and pat your head while spinning. I can do it, but every time I stop and start, it's gonna take me a second to realize which way to go. I really just struggle with it the whole game. Watch my stupid ass going up these stairs. Now, this is 5 hours into the game. This is not like in the beginning. I'm well into the game at this point. I should know how to go up some stairs. My God, I suck. Sometimes the camera's fixed, others you can press the trigger and put the camera right behind you, which really helps. So if you're like me and really detest the tank controls, the solution is simple. You just have to keep doing it over and over again. Even if you suck, push through, especially with Silent Hill, because I feel like the experience is worth it. I was so intimidated by this franchise that the legend of the game kind of got to me, so I even played it on easy. I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I honestly kind of regret doing that. I mean, I didn't regret it till halfway through. Because the action part of the game was too easy, you get so much more ammo and you can take much more damage. This feels like there's no real threat. And with so much ammo, there's actually no need to even use any of the cool melee weapons either. Obviously, the higher difficulties are part of the fear because you don't want to die. So on easy, you're not really afraid of dying because you can just take way more hits. So I do feel like it took a little bit from the experience. So if I could go back for the first time, I would tell myself to don't be a pussy. Because this game does everything right to freak you out, and it does it without any of the jump scares. Well, I think there is actually one or two. But it doesn't rely on that. It really puts you in scenarios and in environments that are meant to really creep the hell out of you, relying more on the psychological fear, from the fog that lays across the town, not letting you see much of what lies ahead, the fact that there's no music sometimes, only footsteps, that makes it creepier, with only the static of the radio letting you know if something's near. Sidebar, shoutouts to the opening music, sounds like a creepy Temu version of the Godfather theme, it's great.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
But yeah, this game's creepy, man. Like, you get taken to this underworld for the first time, and you're like, what the hell's going on? You don't know what lies ahead, and everything is different. But hey, you got your handy-dandy flashlight, so you have to push forward to proceed. If I can manage to move forward. No, wait, that's wrong. Okay, so this is left. Oh, all right, this is right. Okay, I got it. No, I'm going backwards. Wait, no. No, that's right. Oh, okay, I got it. The game is really meant to mess with you, to be creepy. Even the stuff on the walls, like in this hospital, if you look at it, it kind of looks like something. No, I keep seeing devils and horn dudes on the walls, and the way some of the light hits the walls just enhances it. Do y'all see faces on the wall, or am I tripping? Maybe it's just me. I might need therapy. The point is, you keep finding weird shit and relate more and more to Henry as he's slowly losing his mind, but you understand why. He's being chased by pterodactyl dog thingies and giant cockroaches and flying monsters, all while panicking and not knowing where the hell his child is. Plus, the level of immersion Silent Hill has feels super ahead of his time and actually really underrated in my opinion, even for today's standards, not only with the sound effects or even the lack of sound sometimes. I mean, it is called Silent Hill after all. But by how clean the HUD was, by literally having nothing on screen, no ammo, no compass, no health, no giant arrow, no Naughty Dog yellow, just good old fashioned figure it out. Or Google it. The main thing you do in this game is try to find stuff, clues, codes, keys, anything to help you to proceed, and these items are not necessarily standing out glowing with red or yellow all around it, which again helps with the immersion. You can interact with almost everything in your surroundings, and the game even encourages you to do so. You try to interact with whatever seems interesting, and you will most likely get rewarded for it. Find a piece of paper on the floor and read it. It might lead somewhere, but make sure you remember it because you can't take it with you sometimes. But it will be marked on your map, and I do love this style. Instead of having dots all over the map, again helping with the immersion by making it look like Henry is taking notes on the map himself. Now, the most important thing in this game are the maps. Without them, you will have a hard time and spend much of it just wandering around, especially in your first playthrough. But again, even if you get lost, you can stumble onto something interesting. The very last level is mapless, which tested my brain and memory, and it really forces you to keep track on it. It's impossible to come back to that level. You have to do the whole thing in one sitting. There's a lot of taking the scenic route because they lock everything and block the easy path, forcing you to go the long way. The best way I can explain Silent Hill is, it's like those puzzle mazes you used to get in restaurants when you were a kid or the back of cereal boxes, but it's invisible and you won't know the way until you start going. And you can look at the map to try to figure out a route, but most often than not, there's going to be something blocking your way. So you have to go back to the map, try to figure out a second route, and then that's blocked. So then you have to find yet another, and that one works. And then sometimes you come back to an area and it's completely different. You're like, wait, that wasn't here before? Now what? Well, you just gotta keep pushing forward, finding a way to get through. And sometimes the answer is just bonkers bananas, which can be frustrating, but actually feel very rewarding when you do get it. But it is those games that if you miss one thing, it can take a minute to figure out that you're actually missing on something. This is one of the similarities it shares with Resident Evil, this form of gameplay. I feel like the main difference is in Resident Evil, you're finding more things along the way, solutions to puzzles you haven't even seen yet. And as you go along, the answer is a bit more obvious. Or you get to a point where the solution is one of two things. So if it's not this, it has to be that, and it is. And in Silent Hill, the answer is sometimes neither of those options. It's something completely different. And it really comes down to taste. Some people might not like that, too much out of the box thinking. I, on the other hand, I get pissed in the moment, but then when I find the answer, I actually sit back and admire it a little bit. But yeah, in the moment, I'm like, what the But most people who actually play Silent Hill all the way actually get it. It's one of those games. You won't get it until you play it. I thought I understood it, but no, you actually have to have the sticks in your hand. The gunplay is simple enough and automatic. The guns do feel different, and the handful of boss fights can bring your heart rate up a little bit. They're pretty fun. What is a little bit horrible is the voice acting. Not much voice acting of the time was fantastic anyway, but I don't consider it distracting.
Hold it. Stop. Don't shoot. Wait. I'm not here to fight. My name is Harry Mason. I'm in town on vacation.
I think the more you play this game, the better it gets because you know where to go and you know what lies ahead. So it allows you to go off and really explore and discover a ton of secrets and Easter eggs. There are 5 different endings you can get. The combination of these 2 actions actually determines what ending you get. So whether or not you save the cop Sybil or whether or not you do the Kaufman side quest. So depending on that, you get the bad minus or bad plus endings or the good minus and good plus endings. The good minus ending being the canon one. So there are 4 different endings you can get and a joke ending involving UFOs. But to get that one's kind of wild. You have to use this channeling item on 5 different spots. Pretty crazy. So I can see why this game became legendary back in the day, wanting to find all the secrets, trying to get better with each playthrough. And like I said, the more you play it, the more you realize it's not just a Resident Evil clone. It's much more than that. It's a game filled with lore and surprises. So to answer the question, yes. It's worth it. If you really want to understand why the franchise became the classic that it is, it's definitely worth your time. Now I have a question for you. What are your thoughts on Silent Hill? Have you played it recently? Your memories of it back in the day? Any and all thoughts, let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there, if you could like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do you.